This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You're not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome to Rat Castle, you rat bastards. We are a progressive chat about Disney magic without the pixie dust. I'm Dave. Greetings. And with me today are Victoria.
Hello.
Janine.
Hello there.
Nathan.
Oh, hello, Dave.
And Sarah.
Hi.
So we got a lot to sink our teeth
Yeah.
into today. Let's jump right into it. First thing would be some theme park news from Disney World.
Yeah.
We finally got a confirmation of the Guardians coaster opening, correct?
We did. So we didn't have to just hold on to the news coming from Jeff Morrell, who, of course, leaked the tweet about the opening, like, I don't know, 2 weeks? No, longer. 4 weeks ago? Maybe a month almost at this point.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
He's been busy having a horrible time with other things at this point. And yeah, we now know that Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is going to open at Epcot on May 27th, which means Jeff was correct. And I got on my 30th a date reserved because I don't have passes available for that holiday weekend. And then, of course, we have pass holder AP previews, and I think they're doing like a D23 thing as well.
Yeah, you have to pay like $40 and you get in after 4 and you get like a $20 gift card for food and you can ride the ride at the end.
Oh, that's not too
Oh, and
too
Harmonious. Yeah.
shabby. And you get, but it's more like a but you have to watch Harmonious. That's why it's only $40. We make you watch Harmonious. Yeah, so the ride, I mean, they're finishing it up. It seems like there was a new permit recently in the last couple days that they were gonna do another install of something. So they're putting in the finishing touches and probably kind of sweating it, as frankly it seems all these get a little sweated because it's like any other thing. You think it's a ways away, and then all of a sudden, large corporate entities announce dates. So. I'm excited. I have no like reservations for it. I'm happy to have the Universe of Energy building back open in some form. It'll be nice to have a whole area over there again. And it looks fun. I don't know if you guys saw the queue. They did this thing where they let in there was like a Disney...
So there was a Disney Creator Day celebration that they do occasionally where basically they get like a variety of influencers and they get to go on a cruise and go to Disney World for free, blah, blah, blah.
A cruise?
Yeah, they got to go to Disney. Yeah, they just came back from a Disney cruise.
Damn.
Where do I sign up? Because that sounds amazing. Like going on a cruise and then having to like ride Galaxy. Like that's amazing.
Oh, I don't think they got to ride it. I think they just let them
They
in
just
the
got
queue,
to
right?
see it.
Yeah, they just
Okay.
let them in the
Okay.
queue and that was
Which
it.
is very, very, very blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I looked at it is I said Test Track and Spaceship Earth had a baby.
Yeah.
And then Prawn right down the road is going to be very similar. So it's a vibe. It's a mood.
Yeah.
They said technology, space, blue.
Blue.
Yeah. Blue.
And again, we're not seeing it active with the show running or media. And there might be lighting changes. We never know. So
yeah. And it's I don't know. It's weird for me to think like, hey, all you influencers, let's go look at a queue. I feel like that's become we talk about sometimes on this podcast about how they overmarket in weird ways, and it's like Zach Ridley is always like posting on Instagram like, here's a brick, it's gonna be one of a million, imagine bricks of beauty and this thing. And you're like, okay, but it's a brick.
But it's just a brick.
Yeah. And this is another one of those things that's like, man, you're going to show us everything except the ride. Because I think they also recognize that we're like I don't know how you're going to be able to record this one. I don't know how easy that would be, but it is going to be leaked theoretically like day one. It'll be on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
Right. Like someone's going to show it eventually. So it's just
like, the thing about it is like, it's kind of like they're not showing anything. It's kind of a nothing sandwich, but they don't care because people are going to talk about it anyway, right? Like it's doing is bad press is good press. So just let people say, oh, just the queue. Ugh. Well, guess what? You also know that there's a new ride, and if
Yes.
you're on Twitter and you don't follow theme parks, somebody's gonna retweet that, and
Yep.
your average consumer might see it. That's all they want.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw the commercial for it.
Yeah.
It was kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
There were some Easter eggs because Quill's sleeping, and there's an old like 80s Epcot mug in the background, and
Yeah.
a dinosaur, the dinosaurs from Universe of Energy, like kind of figure, which was pretty cool.
I thought that was a nice nod.
Yeah, I wanted to point out though that the voice of Rocket. Now we know that the cast did the stuff, but the voice of Rocket in the commercial is not Rocket.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very clear.
It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
off.
Quill, you seeing this? Quill! Well, you heard the lady. Get to Epcot. It's Save the Galaxy time. Again.
So I thought for the end of this little segment, I would like to hear everybody's Rocket and see if you can do a better Rocket than whoever did it in the commercial, because
All right.
it's anybody's
I'll go
game.
first. I'll go
You're
first.
gonna have to kill me.
I'll go.
Same
I'll go
here.
first. I'll do it. I'll do it for everybody.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
it just
all right.
it's that's pretty much it, right? It's like you do a Boston.
Yeah.
It's the accent you do if you're doing like a New York rap.
Yeah. You're like, all right, Quill. What's this crap you're listening to?
Yeah.
Why is that
We're
so
going to Epcot.
good?
Oh my gosh, it's Epcot. We're going to Epcot.
Turn off that damn Walkman. But here's the thing, like this is not uncommon, because likeness and voice for the attraction versus likeness and voice for marketing are often two different things.
Totally.
I mean, Harrison Ford is not in the Indiana Jones ride, voice or likeness at all.
Yeah, speaking of
Speaking of a big one, this has precedent, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it just has to do with, sometimes they don't want to be seen as shilling. They just want to be the content. And think of it this way. When do you see actors like on a commercial doing different footage that's in their movie, talking about the movie or delivering lines in their character? They don't, because they don't want to be that salesperson. So I understand people thinking it's quote unquote cheap, but you're wrong. It literally is it's contractual, and and blame the talent. Don't blame Disney, because the talent doesn't want to do
No amount of money.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily even blame the talent. I just think, man, you could have spent like 3 minutes on YouTube and found a better Rocket. But beyond that, yeah, I mean,
That is true.
I mean,
Could've
there
gave
was
somebody their big break.
Yeah, on my former podcast, I got to interview an impressionist who kind of made his name on YouTube for doing different Disney characters, and then he went on to do do Dracula in the fourth Hotel Transylvania movie, because Sandler was like, "I'm too expensive," and no one really knew that there was any difference. So you can find people that are really, really accurate.
The other thing is talent. If there is often, especially for animated talent, it's less common for live action films, but Rocket really is all animation. It's common for actors to have approval and buy off on their theme park or advertising or video game voice replacement. That the Disney will cast a wide net and narrow it down to like 5 people and send all those tapes to the talent and say, pick one. Like the lady who does Dory is obviously not Ellen anymore, but it's but for the parks, but it's approved by them. So I'm very surprised if that's the one. If that was the case, and it's hard to say because it's marketing, right? But like the game, all the talent had input on who got cast for that new video game. I think. I mean, I would assume they would, because they're kind of doing impersonations of them, but the likeness isn't like the Star-Lord doesn't look like
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, sorry.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
Who has he's gonna be Garfield. I don't know if you guys heard
and Mario.
Oh God.
And Mario.
be
Can we just
Garfield.
not? Can we just not? That's a whole other podcast. What to slam Chris Pratt about. I got a list.
Yeah, it's a long one.
Anyway, I thought the commercial looked great. It sucks that it didn't show any of the ride. Like it's just composite footage of
that's
a
classic
ride vehicle in space, but that's classic.
Yeah, I mean,
that's usually what they do.
We at least didn't get like the classic. You take a vehicle and you put it in a warehouse and make everything backlit, and then shake people for 5 minutes, and exactly, do the wave and
not do the wave.
That's half the footage, and then I was gonna say, if you look at any of the promotional art or the poster for the Guardians coaster, Yeah, his Star-Lord's face is always covered. But they got whatever it costs to get Zoe Saldana and Batista, they were able to pay him because their faces are shown.
And that probably, knowing Disney, a lot of those contracts start in initial negotiations for the role.
Yeah.
Like theme parks and commercials and toy voices and all of that is negotiated way up front. And so Chris Pratt probably is like, nope, I'm only doing the content, which is weird because like, actually, it's not. He did the content for Jurassic World for Universal, but didn't do any of the marketing.
I was going to ask, do you think that might have something to do with that?
No, because the marketing for that's all dinosaurs all the time. Like they don't show the talent at all. So none of that in that commercial surprised me, but I get why people are confused, but it all boils down to money and contracts.
Yeah. But in the end, we're still getting a ride, and I'm excited, and I will be there for the pass holder previews, and hopefully
finally.
Janine
have you guys
and I
gotten your emails yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, they said
Not
it's
yet.
coming soon, and I started like watching every 30 minutes, and like, did it come? Did it come?
Well, my one friend said she never got the initial email for Ratatouille, but she did get the registration email for it, so it'll come.
Weird.
Oh, it's all over the place. You're either going to get it or you're not. But here's the thing: the code's the code, basically. If you're an AP and you, so Janine, if you get it, email it to me immediately because that's how it works.
So let's just email that
Make a
on
pact.
over to me too.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So there's another big non-attraction piece of news, which is very interesting, and this is about the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Victoria, do you want to talk about this?
Sure. So Florida legislators met to repeal Reedy Creek's Improvement Act due to Disney's quote unquote woke stance against the Don't Say Gay bill. So basically what's been going on since the whole debacle last month about the Don't Say Gay bill and Disney's involvement on it. I guess the right is just like calling anyone involved like groomers or woke and
Groomers? They're calling people groomers?
Pedophiles.
They're calling them
Wow.
pedophiles,
Yeah.
groomers.
Yeah, they're literally calling every gay person a groomer, so fuck them.
That
Yeah.
basically associates or like likes
Wow.
Disney.
Susan
Yeah.
Collins is a groomer or pedophile now because she voted to confirm Justice Brown Jackson.
Yeah.
Which she was just confirmed. Yay.
Yay.
Yes.
Hooray!
Yay. And apparently in the 200 years of the Supreme Court justice being done, this is the first time where it's not majority white.
Yeah.
Huzzah! Finally.
But I digress. So pretty much the act that came out in 1967 allowed Disney to create the improvement district, and it just basically acts as its own government within the district.
This sounds like posturing. This just sounds like a political football. Like
Pretty
DeSantis-
much.
Right.
Yeah.
DeSantis is lording it over him like it's going to be a threat, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether or not, I don't know the details of, we all know that they have their own building codes and blah, 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 but I've never worked on property, so I don't know.
The weirdest thing is it was created so that Disney could pay for its own emergency services and
Yeah.
things
Right.
like that. And so it's like,
Right.
what are you going to do? You're going to start paying for Disney's fire department?
Right.
Well, the issue is because they did that so that way the taxpayers won't pay for it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm like, do you want the taxpayers to pay for it? Because like
Right.
if Disney can afford it and that's the whole purpose of them doing it, why would you want them to get rid of that and have the taxpayers pay for that?
Whoever runs against DeSantis, that should be their main point. Like, hey, taxpayers, he's screwing you over because Disney was more than happy to pay for all this stuff.
I don't think it'll go through. I don't think it'll
No.
go through.
I don't think it will.
I think it's just pandering at this point. Like they just
Yeah.
want to bitch about something and just cause an uproar and give them problems.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
I just feel like they look ridiculous. Like DeSantis and like the right, they look so stupid.
insane.
They do, because it's like we all understand that like Disney holds like a huge influence over the politics in Florida or like wherever they are, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it's like they provide like 60,000 plus jobs in Florida. So it's like, how are you gonna?
And also, it's the reason we don't have an income tax. Like, they
Yes,
bring tourism.
Exactly.
So like, how are you gonna play with like they could I don't know if Disney will actually do this, but they could easily just like uproot everything in terms of like their Imagineering and everything and just go back to California. Like that could easily happen. So it's like, why are you playing with like kind of, it's just like biting the hand that feeds you. Like it just doesn't
Right.
really make sense.
Well, that's the thing is like DeSantis got caught with his tail between his
Yeah.
legs because Disney was like, we run this state, we're going to pull our weight. And now DeSantis looks like a baby. And so he's like, no, they don't run the state. I run the state. They don't run the state. And that's all it is.
It's just like, why even say that? Like,
It's
why,
like you're the
why did you
party
do
of
that?
business. Like, how does this make sense? Like,
Not only a business, but like one of the top employers of that state.
No, the top employer.
Yeah, not
Florida.
one of.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
It
Well,
is the
yeah.
employer.
So it's like, are you dumb?
But and right behind them, of course, is Universal. And like it would never happen. But my point here is, this is not the Disney of Ron Miller, where it's like, oh God, thank God for the parks. We can like stay together and like we could still be a business because the parks are going to keep us running when we make crap movie after crap movie. This is like a Star Wars and Marvel. Like, parks are very much a thing that makes them money. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm also saying is, could Disney pull up and bulldoze everything and go, fine, we're going elsewhere? They won't. But could they? Yeah, they would still exist.
Sure.
Whereas Florida would become, like, alligators would immediately be like, it's our time, and like just come back in.
But it's not even just that. Like, Disney, I feel like it's kind of like these two large like groups of people who are playing with the lives of everybody else, right? Because it's like Disney could easily just be like, okay, fine, you want to play with us, then we're gonna fire a bunch of people, we're gonna do a bunch of layoffs, like you're gonna mess with like our livelihoods, we're gonna mess with the people of Florida's livelihoods. And I feel like that's where it could like be very harmful to just like the regular people that are there.
Sorry, I think this is a good connection with our next topic, actually.
Next topic. Yeah, absolutely. Like Disney is starting up a project for affordable housing to be in the Disney area.
Yeah, so that's so Disney is saying that they want to have 80 acres of land with more than 1,300 units added to the Central Florida area, which from the concept art, it seems, I think it's a great idea. I think it's nice to see.
Looks like a Polynesian tower.
It's very regular, right? Like, it's not anything exciting or surprising, but it does seem to be nice, affordable housing, which like that would be great. And the one thing that I don't necessarily know how to feel about is because I worry that this is going to be like work housing, where it's like they're just going to essentially like have a lot of their employees kind of who are, whether it be like an Imagineering or like any of the office, like corporate that do work near the parks, it's going to essentially like be their homes. And it won't necessarily be for like everybody else who actually needs affordable housing.
I mean, it's only 1,300 units.
Yeah.
Right.
So essentially, it's a company town.
That's exactly, like, it's a company town.
It's like it's affordable housing, technically disguised as a company town, because like you said, like only qualified members of the public are going to be able to stay in one of these units, and like Janine said, it's only like so many units.
Yeah.
Now, what I think is interesting is I firmly believe this has been planned for a long time. I don't think this is like something they came up with yesterday. But I think the announcement is a very intriguing moment for when DeSantis goes, all right, we're going to take care of Reedy Creek, and they're like, but we're putting affordable housing in the, we're making Orlando a better place. We're investing in literally the president of Walt Disney World comes, we're investing in Orlando community. This is our family. And it's like, okay.
Universal's doing it too.
Yes.
Yeah, Universal's doing it as well. So I wondered originally if they did that because they announced it because Universal announced it, but then the whole Reedy Creek thing happened, and I was like, nah, they did that to piss off DeSantis, and I think
it's really funny though that Universal beats them to the jump when Universal has like about an acre and maybe a foot or two left over, and Disney's like awash in swampland, and they're like, they're
really like boxed in.
But that concept art looks like very hurried. Like, it looks like they did that in 5 minutes. So I don't know if it was like a thought that they came up with recently, but
I think it's something they were planning. But but I'm not saying the concept art wasn't put together until this week.
I mean, we saw how the concept art for the Polynesian stuff looked, so I would believe it was hurried.
This all goes back to, they are a massive force, and real estate and development outside the parks is already something they do. And so this is an extension of that. I'm completely not surprised. I'm with you that, like, who is this for? But, that'll come out in the wash. Universal was very explicit in saying it's going to be some available to employees, some available for application, but it's based on income. So I'm assuming Disney's going to do the same. So we'll see. I mean,
and it's not like cast members are middle class. It's not like
so it's like
it is affordable housing for, if it's really going to be for those cast members, it's a good thing.
I mean, I guess the question at the end of the day is, what is the definition of affordable to Disney?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you could just pay your cast members more. And
if it's not regulated term, as Janine's asking, like it might, there is probably a government office they're working with that does have a definition of what that means. I would assume.
I have to. Housing stuff is so strictly regulated with what you can say and what words you can use and you can't use. I have to imagine that there's a very specific intention baked into that terminology.
Yep.
Yeah, but I just feel like we should just always be wary when like a large corporation wants to build housing.
Oh, 100%.
I saw RoboCop. I don't trust when corporations want to build a city.
So it's a little sketchy, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
Well, we should keep our eyes on that, because I'm curious. Like, Disney's just getting a little very interested in the real estate, like with Story Living and now this. So I'm intrigued to see what it is.
Celebration 2.0. So moving to the West Coast now, we have reading
breaking
this
for
article,
us. I mean, this is coming out Tuesday, but this just kind of got some heat. So
as our resident geologist, Janine, please chime in on the inappropriate cultural appropriation of a piece of national park asset. That's what this boils down to, really. But it's very weird.
Honestly, it's like a Russian nesting doll of theft. So the root of it is the Miwok tribe has a history in Yosemite National Park. And there was this chief called Tenaya who was like one of the last great chiefs of that tribe. They represent Yosemite. It's a huge part of, apparently, like the Yosemite culture is this Tenaya name. It's used everywhere. And so I guess Disney decided to lean into that Yosemite culture with their new spa that opened in September. And I didn't really hear anything about this spa. I didn't even know it existed. But this absolutely incredible piece of reporting came out on Photos Travel today by Deanne Ravel. It's wild. They've basically appropriated this entire story, but it's not even appropriation. They've made up a story about this tribe. Someone has made up a story. It's bullshit. It's that they took a rock that purports to be from Yosemite, which is a felony. You cannot remove property from a national park.
Right.
The national park itself was stolen from the Native American tribe. So it's like this nesting doll of theft of like, so it's this rock that some like Midwestern Native American consultant lady told Disney was given to them by the descendants of this person. And then
she was connected to the Smithsonian? Is that how I read it?
To the to the Smithsonian. So she I guess comes highly regarded, but this journalist reached out to the actual known descendants of Chief Tenaya, and they were like, no, we've never been contacted by Disney. We're like the real Yosemite people. This is our tribe. Disney concocted, this is where the geoscientist in me gets really upset. They concocted this whole story where you come in and you pick like one of 4 different minerals, and then you take the mineral and you touch it to the greater stone that was from the Tenaya tribe, and you set your intentions and you charge your minerals with this rock, and it's all bullshit. Like it's wild. They went out and they bought some pyrite and some shit that you can buy online that's sold with like healing properties to rich white yoga women. And
it's hot right now. It's the
huge.
hottest shit in the world right now.
As a geoscientist, when I want to look up a mineral and I want to see like the actual properties, like what's its chemical composition, how does it form, all I get is like the healing properties, and I have to sift through people trying to sell me this shit.
Right. And this is, by the way, the same people that like told me like, oh yeah, I mean, I left Christianity. I can't believe in it anymore. It's a lot of hogwash. And that's probably because I'm an Aries. You know, it's like. And
so not only are they inventing this story to sell you shit, the story, like the product itself is extremely problematic because it's pitched to these like naturally minded, connect with the earth. These products, these minerals are sourced from extremely questionable places in an unsustainable, exploitative manner that exploits not only the surroundings, the natural surroundings and the ecosystem, and pollutes groundwater, it also exploits the people who work there. So many of these people are paid nothing to mine these minerals. It's extremely dangerous work. None of it, you can't really trace any of it. It's hard to tell where anything's coming from or if it's sustainable. And they're creating such an extreme demand that's so false and so harmful, and it drives me absolutely nuts. And Disney,
and that's just the stones.
And that's just the stones.
That's not even connected with the rest of this.
The rest of this is insane. Like the more I read, I just lost my mind. So they reached out to these people, and they're like, okay, so there's, they've appropriated your touch the stones ceremony that they have. And they're like, we don't have anything like that. In fact, that's extremely inappropriate because Chief Tanaya's son or child was stoned to death by white settlers. They don't yes. Like this stone ritual for the Tenaya tribe is it's just mind-bogglingly insensitive. So not only are they taking their historical trauma and stealing it, they're also profiting off of it while also creating a demand and playing into this extremely harmful practice of mineral exploitation.
It's like those marching Indians at Magic Kingdom were doing their thing, and Disney was like, hold my beer.
Yes, it's completely made up. They've taken this identity from this tribe that, mind you, is not federally recognized and fighting for federal recognition of their tribal status. And I think I saw somewhere that like some of their areas, like they don't even have running water. Like these are people, they've taken these totally disregarded people and just screwed these people.
Yeah, it's I mean, again, the wellness industry is a lot of it's a crock of shit, and it's easy to do. Let's get some skin therapies and a massage and sit in a hot tub without the woo factor.
Yes. What is like? Why is it so hard to avoid that?
Because they gotta upsell it. It's a luxury spa. They gotta upsell it somehow, and they gotta do it with
and people buy it.
They did so well in like Aulani. Like they did a really great job with those spas.
Well, you can tell when Joe Rohde's not around.
Right.
I guess,
that's exactly right. I said the same thing to
Joe Rohde would have
not.
It would have never happened.
It would have never happened.
Never. And so
because it's the number one. I'm in amongst, like you said, a Russian nesting doll of sins. Like one of the biggest sins is a basic thing about using any culture as inspiration, as they did in Aulani, and they were trying here, is you don't homogenize it. You don't take 4 or 5 different tribes that have nothing to do with each other and sort of sift what you want out of it. That's just awful.
Yeah.
I just need Disney to get rid of their inclusion key because they're not doing a great job.
I was really impressed though with some of the representatives from the tribe who saw this, and they were basically like, okay, Disney, fix it. Here's how you fix it. Support us in our fight for federal recognition. How about, I mean, I don't think they said anything about water, but like, how about Disney make some efforts to make sure that their tribe has access to freaking water?
Right, if you're going to use
if you're going to use their
culture.
identity, and not just use their identity, but to completely manufacture it and separate them. Like, it's one thing to appropriate it. It's another to be like, this is their story. And it's not their story. It's the story. You're stealing their identity from them when you do that.
Yeah, you can't treat like indigenous tribes like you do the sword and the stone in front of the carousel. Like it's not the same thing.
No.
And I think that someone was asking me on Twitter about this, and I said, well, does this make Disney like too cautious? Like they were totally against it, but they were just like, are they going to now like not want to deal in cultures because like we'll just get vanilla kind of base stuff because, you know, it's too much work to like thread the needle? And I thought, no, not really, because there are beautiful examples like Aulani that thread that needle beautifully. Mm-hmm. But there's one thing you don't do, which is you take the spirituality of a impoverished and unrecognized people and like let rich white women play with it in the middle of the afternoon. Like, it's the weirdest.
And you throw a plaque outside saying, we're on like their land. Your land recognition. Great. Thank you.
Well, I mean, and a lot of like theater companies and stuff are doing that in their theaters to acknowledge native land, and that's great. That's just step one, though. Like, it would have been very easy for them to use decor and maybe visual parts of themes and acknowledge this is from this tribe and this kind of design is from this tribe, and just leave it as design.
Which is what Animal Kingdom kind of does. If you go to the lodge, the lodge is very much like, here's a mask from this tribe, because like this is a swath of Africa, and there's not this pinpointiness. It's not called, and I don't know the name of it, but it's not called a Tribe of Africa Lodge. Like to have a spa that is so specific. I mean, not talk to anyone from the tribe is
what I think
something
someone
else.
told me earlier is that this isn't the first time that that's been done with a spa.
Oh no, I'm sure.
So it's like they in their personal opinion, they feel like it's going to get swept under the rug because there's not enough attention on it, which is a shame, because like Janine made several points about that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take that much to just Google and do actual responsible research when you're like a $1 trillion company that runs Orlando in the world.
Counterpoint to that, though, this is a good time to have this sort of thing happen to your tribe, because Disney needs a win, and they keep losing.
That was the one thing I did like about the end of that article. If listeners want to know, I just searched for Fodor's and Tenya Stone, which Tenya. There's a whole article about it that just posted. But what I loved was the end of it that you mentioned, Janine, that like the younger members of the tribe were like, let's make lemonade out of this lemon and put their feet to the fire and use this as an opportunity to raise awareness. So good for them. Hopefully that gets some sort of traction.
I just feel like spirituality and religion is not something that you should use to like commercialize something. Like
at all.
It's just especially when it comes to like indigenous spirituality, it can always like go into the realm of like exotifying it and just making it seem as this weird, like other thing. And it's really like it was so easy to like go a different route. Like you said, they could have done design, they could have done so many different things. It's just they could have done it so much better.
To even back up farther, like if you're in the California themed hotel to the California Wilderness and Park System, you could have done like quotes from John Muir. There's so much you can do without treading on anything that is questionable. It just seems so weird that, and then the fact that they had a whole cultural advisor and they said they went through this process. Like, did you vet the people that
Right, because then you got to question your sources.
But hold on. The source here is the Smithsonian. So what the hell is going on over at the Smithsonian?
Well, the thing is, there are multiple federally recognized Miwok tribes, and they have a range over California. But there's one subset of that's the specific Yosemite tribe. And so because they were like making it the Yosemite Spa and the Tenaya Spa, they said that they had some other descendants of Chief Tenaya, but the people who are in the Yosemite subset, who are direct descendants and like trackable direct descendants,
we're not contacted.
We're not consulted.
Right. Yeah.
But they're smaller, so it's possible they found some person who's from one of the larger tribes
and just
homogenized it.
And they've dropped off a stone. What? Like,
is that even real?
Like, I mean, it's a real stone. I don't know where it's from. I would love to know where it's from. I'm really interested.
Because then you got to question if you committed a crime or not.
Yeah, if it's from federal land, that's a theft. So
yeah, I mean, did they just pluck it from the land? I don't know.
They said the article said that it was actually it was blessed and gifted to Disney, and it's like
blessed by who?
Well, yeah, by this elder of the tribe that is not the one that wasn't consulted. It was the one they found.
The Southern Sierra Miwok Nation.
Yeah. So I'm gonna assume it's not from.
No, they consulted. Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. I just reread a paragraph from it. The consultant said that she focused on the Southern Sierra Miwok, but that is the tribe that said that she never contacted them.
Oh boy.
So I don't know who she actually talked to, but she didn't talk to anybody from the actual tribe.
Sources in conclusion.
Yeah.
I feel like any one of us could have just gone up and been like, yeah, we know this tribe. And they would have let us they would have hired us too.
This whole conversation makes me want to go to a spa because it's so depressing.
You know, it's a tough situation Disney has put themselves in with this. cultural stuff is always hard to design around, and they just didn't cross their T's and dot their I's the way they should. So hopefully this all, enlightens the process next time.
One thing before we go, a tidbit. It is believed that Ewoks were named after this tribe.
Oh my God.
I learned that, so I had to make sure I
Happy Star Wars Celebration Day.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, yub nub. Am I right? Yub nub.
Exactly.
Nathan, no.
All right. Well, we move from the Moons of Endor to the Moon Knight premiere.
Very nice.
Nice.
Good job.
How many of you guys got to see it? Did you?
I did not see it.
Did everyone watch at least one episode?
I watched the first episode.
Okay.
I don't even know what it is.
Cool.
I feel like that's a good
Oscar
way
Isaac.
of going into it.
So far,
I mean, I would love for you guys to tell me about it.
Well, it's Oscar Isaac. So far, being very confused for 2 hours.
Same.
Yeah, but also looking hunky and
So good.
now and then dressing up like Moon Knight, who is the avatar of an Egyptian god, who in this series is facing off against another Egyptian god who is connected to Ethan Hawke's character. This series, by the way, I think we can all agree.
It's a comic book?
This is a comic book. It's a Marvel
comic book.
I would say this is the Disney Plus Marvel show that has the most daddies. It used to be a Winter Soldier and Captain America, but I think we can agree Ethan Hawke, Oscar Isaac, we've leveled up. So
Oscar Isaac can knight my moon anytime he
I
wants.
was just like, okay, daddy.
Boy,
daddy. He is complete zaddy in this.
I don't even know when that even happened. Like, when did Oscar Isaac become the new daddy of like Marvel? I think it was after.
But I'm here for it.
Now,
me too.
This is the moment.
This is his moment.
This is the moment.
It was after Jessica Chastain. I feel like that their little like moment on the red carpet, that's when it happened for me. I was like, yes, I stand.
Yes. Now, I haven't watched it yet. I know a little bit about the comic lore, but a friend of mine mentioned that this show, there's an interesting aspect of the show in that it delves into mental illness.
So the character is Oscar Isaac is playing Stephen Grant, or is he? Stephen Grant is who he's playing in the first episode, and he's has trouble sleeping and seems to sleepwalk, and so like Mike Birbiglia before him, chains himself to his bed. That's a reference if people know it. And sleepwalk with me. So he finds out later on that he is doing other stuff as a mercenary whose name is Mark something. I'm forgetting that. His name is Mark Spector, yeah. And so he is either this American named Mark Spector who is a mercenary and has a wife, or he believes he's also Stephen Grant. And so by the end of, I don't think this is a spoiler, by the end of the second episode, Mark and Stephen are starting to understand who each other are and attempt to figure out their relationship. So both of them can inhabit the avatar of the moon god of Egypt, which gives them super strength and a cool looking bandage outfit. So I like it. It's fun. I mean, it's one of those shows that's sort of a mind bender to start with. And I think that's an interesting perspective. I don't like origin stories. I'm very tired of that narrative. And it's already happened. So we're going to get it sort of in the back end a little bit about how he became Moon Knight and stuff. And they've not really landed in much of the MCU. There's the Snap talk or Thanos, or
I'm actually kind of intrigued how much of his original character they're going to use, because like I'm familiar with the character and I know for a fact like he is, the Mark Spector character is a son of a rabbi, and it's a very Jewish heavily character. So I was wondering how they were going to tie that in, as well as the Egyptian god aspects, but it seems like they've done a really good job as far as like making sure the accuracy of the gods are correct and representing in like no appropriation, which
it doesn't, it could be, I mean, he's not, I don't know his lineage. I don't want to speak for Oscar Isaac, but like there's no feeling
by an Egyptian. It's directed and executive produced.
There's no feeling of white man takes spooky what's the term I'm looking for? Orientalism. There's no spooky Orientalism to it.
It's I also read somewhere that there are QR codes visible in some of the signage, and if you scan them off your screen, you get free digital comics.
Yeah, in the museum, you can read Moon Knight's first appearance, different things like that, which is rad. My wife was like, A, who thinks of that? B, who then goes back and figures out? I go, babe, there are people that frame by frame this whole thing. Like, there are those people exist.
Bruh, I saw something today where someone screenshot his passport and confirmed that he was not one of the people from the snap. I was like,
yes, because his passport is it's dated after the snap, which means he was alive when after the snap.
Is this the first? I mean, is this the first Marvel property that is sort of inherently supernatural in nature, other than maybe Doctor Strange?
I feel like there's.
I feel like there was another.
Well, and we don't talk about Morbius, so that doesn't count.
I would say that this is. I think they've kind of connected all of magic, quote unquote, under two guys of science. There's a thing in Thor, the first Thor movie, where they basically say like magic is science we don't understand, and so like there's probably it's somehow semi-connected to space, kind of like I would say Eternals might be. There's not supernatural, but Eternals has like literal gods.
It has its own lore.
So,
but that what's the character what's his name? With Kit Harington's character, isn't his like character supposed to be like also?
I believe he's gonna be Black Knight.
Blade? Oh no,
Black Knight.
No, Black Knight.
No,
Black Knight, Blade.
Someone else.
There's gonna be a few of them.
Because isn't Black Knight, isn't that like kind of supernatural, or is it just like?
And it sort of borrows from Arthurian, and maybe the same way that Moon Knight borrows from Egyptian lore. I don't know, but that's the other thing. Like, we're getting Marvel content that is sort of inspired by cultural stories that are real. And what is the Marvel spin on this? Goes back to the adapting things correctly. What's the spin on it where it's not appropriating the wrong thing? But if they've got an Egyptian director behind it, that there is a voice in the room probably speaking to that, which is good.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's why. Yeah, I'm really glad, as like just a person who is of like Egyptian and Sudanese descent, like to have somebody that's in the room that is Egyptian and is like pushing this forward. Because like you said, there's a lot of Orientalism when we look at like the Arab world. Oftentimes it's filmed in a specific way. Like whenever we look at like Egypt, whenever there's like movies that are set there, it's like always just the pyramids. Yeah, it's yellow, orange, like very like what's that one? Wonder Woman. That movie is a perfect example of like how a lot of the Middle East is depicted in a lot of these movies. So like I'm really glad that we do have an Egyptian director, Mohammed Diab, and he is also the executive producer, I believe, for the first 4 episodes.
Great.
And he had this great quote, which is like, a big part of our pitch was avoiding the Orientalist look, which always dehumanizes us. It shows us as exotic, where women are submissive and men are evil. And it wasn't only the representation of the people, but the place itself. So I'm really excited to see how they make Egypt look, because I know that they're going to be having it be set there.
Cool.
So I'm genuinely really excited.
That's great. That's really great to hear. It makes me even more excited. I had no idea that was a whole angle to it, so I'm more excited to see it now.
Yeah.
Well, to finish up here, Dave is actually going to be coming down. We're going to do a hard out for this episode because he's getting on an airplane and coming down to my side of the world and Janine's side of the world, because you're celebrating an anniversary. Which anniversary are you celebrating, Dave?
Yeah, by the time this goes live, I will have already been there. Sorry, but I'm going for the 22nd anniversary of Men in Black, which I had the honor of shepherding into existence with an amazing team of people. And I was hoping to celebrate in 2020, and that didn't happen. So I did a little live stream on YouTube back then. You can find it on my YouTube. But it was like I wanted to celebrate, and then that didn't happen. And then I went last year and got in touch with the MIB 900 Club, which is on Facebook, and there are people that can max out the score. And they were just, we just rode over and over again, and then drank our way around Mardi Gras and rode again. And
I didn't know that I could join a club.
Can you max out?
I've done it.
Oh,
yeah.
Search for MIB 900 Club. They have like 6,000 members on this Facebook group. It's insane. When I went last year, I met a couple hundred people and families that rode it, and it's the first thing they ride and the last thing they ride before they leave. Like, it was really heartwarming. And so I decided, hey, I've got frequent flyer miles to use up and hotel points to use up, and I'm going to go again this year and hang out with those folks because it's rare when an attraction makes it to even 10 or 15 years, especially in the Universal world. Yeah. So the fact that it's made 22 years it ain't mine anymore, and I love that. I love that people have embraced it. So I'm very, very thankful for the fandom of that ride because
it's one of my favorite rides of all time.
No, it still holds up. Yeah.
It truly is.
Yeah,
it has been since I hate to say this, but since I was a kid.
That's okay. I'm old. This is already known.
I'm all decrepit.
I am old, but yeah, I'm very excited to go celebrate and see everybody because it's a hell of an accomplishment for an attraction to get this far along and still have a lot of people loving it. So I'm internally grateful.
It's very lovable.
Yeah.
Very, very blessed.
Yeah, definitely my favorite shooter in, Orlando for sure. Pretty much everywhere. It's a blast.
Yeah.
And
I wish they give it some love. I know that maintaining it's hard because parts and stuff for the vehicles.
Yeah, all the animatronics and everything.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And
so.
some of those vendors and companies don't exist anymore. Like so there's been this rumor that it's been on the chocolate block. I don't get any of this from Universal, obviously. I have no connection to them anymore, but I get stuff through back channels. And it's like, don't worry, it's not going anywhere because, frankly, they can't lose the capacity. Yeah. They would need to build 2 rides at that capacity before they can get rid of one of them.
Yeah. Well, I hear they're updating it, and Jay is going to smack your vehicle and spin it around a couple times. So that'll be an interesting.
There it is.
Thank you.
I was waiting for somebody to say it.
Thank you.
Our ending.
It's your Will Smith Oscar joke for this episode. Thank you so much. Try the fish. It's great.
It's all you get.
Good audience.
You get one.
All righty. Well, that's our show for today. Rat Castle is produced by Nathan Hartman. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode. Please tell your friends. Pimp us on your socials. You can check out our website at ratcastlepodcast.podbean.com, or you can even send us questions at bit.ly/Ratcastle. We're happy to take questions, read some adulation, take shit for stuff we got wrong. Please call us out, write to us. We're lonely. We're here. We'll respond. So now it is time to grab your belongings and exit the castle to your left.
So much to learn and so much to see. A galaxy destined for you and for me.